It's time to strap in and get ready. The Insight NBA team is in the arena, bringing you the ultimate play-by-play on who's hot and who's not to help you win your leagues and dominate your mates. You're now hooping with your hosts, Matty G, Skiddy, and Mally for the Insight NBA show.
Four and one's up for the morning. Skiddy, how are you?
Yes, G. 4 and 1's up, courtesy of our great mates at the Standard Squeeze. And, mate, can't start a morning without him. But as you might know, my morning has literally just started about 5 minutes ago. So, but I'm up, I'm ready to go, and I'm ready to talk about this mega draft, mock draft that you guys did with a heap of NBA analysts.
Mate, absolutely huge. I've got to bring up everyone down here. So a big shout out to all those guys who actually were in this draft as well. So I got the list, and there's 12 people. It was hosted by Josh Lloyd from Basketball Monsters. So hat off to him. So there was Josh, obviously, who was the host of it. Myself, our good mate Adam King, and Dan Titus, and Dan Besbris. Congratulations to those three lads as well. Kingy has a new podcast coming up on the Old Man Network, which is going to be excellent. Make sure you check that out. Adam G. Stock, Karan Tola, Raf, Det Skeller, Watch the Boxes, Alex Baratha, and NBA Fantasy Papi. We're all in this one.
Talk about an all-star game, Jay.
It's an all-star. It's an all-star fantasy analyst game. But Jesus, it was a little bit sweaty. I think the main thing was that when you drafted, I was drafting from 4 in this one as well. The main one to play it is where do you take your guys? And I made that video on Friday morning just after I had done it. Just make sure you go out and get your guys.
Yep.
Where do you try and how bullish can you be on your picks sometimes in draft, Skiddy?
I try to keep an open mind, in all honesty, when I'm drafting. Yeah, I have guys that I would like to get at a certain point, but if they're gone, then I'm not going to go reaching, or I'm not going to waver from the structure of my team, which I think is the most important thing that you need to keep going, because a lot of people can see, they may miss on a certain type of player that they want. For instance, they miss out on Alex Sarr around 120, 110 or something like that, and they go, oh, crap, well, I better go pick another rookie, and then they just reach for another rookie that's not profiling the same as that you could have got a better player at a different point in the draft. So, I'm not the super bullish type of person. I just kind of roll with the punches and then just take who I think is best player available, best for my team.
Man, this is also, we've got to put the caveat on this one, because I'm sure that Josh would take back his pick now. I'd actually want to, maybe I should DM him on this one while we're live. I think he'd take back his pick now. I almost do. I'm not sure. The schedule has opened up again, and the NBA has decided to absolutely kook the Dallas Mavericks again with a 2-game week 20. So
really?
they have 2 games in week 20. Josh took Luka at 3.
Yeah.
But they're very strong around there, 4-4, 2, 4, and 4. So it's about when you're going to finish your league. So that's, I guess, one of the settings that's going to come up is when do you finish your leagues and when do you draft guys? The only other team that's finishing late around that time is the Chicago Bulls. Have 2 games around week 18. You've got the New Orleans Pelicans at week 19 with 2 games, and the Orlando Magic also have 2 games in week 18. So there are some considerations for schedule around that back end of the season. So I just wondered if Joshy would take Luka again. So let's get to it. We are going to present the draft and how it broke down for you today. Skiddy, I took Shea, number 1. Were you okay with that?
Yeah, I was okay with that. You picking Shea at 4. I think that I don't mind Luka at 3, but now that the schedule's out, I guess that makes it a little bit more difficult to be able to comprehend to take Luka there. But Shea's high steals and high blocks and were the main things that were driving his second overall ranking last season. So if his steals drop, then he may go down to the 5-6 kind of areas, as we can see. AD will probably be the one that's most likely pushing that area for him. G. So, but other than that, I like your pick of Shea.
All right. Well, look, it's gone out how it went. Number 1, Dan Besbris was always going to take Jokic at number 1. He is the old man of all of us old men who do this thing. So Dan Brisbane is always going to take Jokic. And it's an interchangeable 1-2. We're learning that very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Wemby is number 1 consensus rank right now. You're going to find that out. So it really is 3 and 4 you're okay with. Now, Joshy took Luka at 3. I took Shea at 4. We can actually go like this way down the rounds for you there, Skiddy.
Yeah.
And then
nice.
I went Shea. There you go. Scotty Keller, Anthony Davis. Really good. That's about where that's peak AD value pretty much there.
Yeah, I would agree with you there, mate. So yeah, I think that top 5 this season is pretty much solid of those 5 there. Titus going Giannis next at 6.
Oh, you said that. You want to throw some soul. You want to go with Dan Titus.
I don't know. I love everything that Dan Titus does, and I think he's an absolute mastermind magician. And but
he's got that Titus
Giannis
touch.
The Giannis at 6 has got me a little bit. I'm not sure about that one, G. As we know, Giannis is obviously a lot better when we punt free throws and turnover percentages, but they are a category that we have to remember there, G. And I'm not sure if I would take him over a guy that can get the bulk of assists like Tyrese Halliburton.
Now, again, we've got Tyrese Halliburton, like you just said, coming after him. Jason Tatum, look, this is about where Tatum falls. Like we know he's a first-round player. He is a first-round. He's not a first-round player. You think it's what?
I think Tatum at 8 is way too early, man.
Man,
that team is so bolstered.
It is. And I think he gets that bump with KP out to start off with. I'm on team. I hate injured guys this season. I don't know what I'm getting from them. I know there's a new ball in the ring over there with Paul George in Philly, but Joel Embiid at 9 seems like a slip. He looked healthy in the Olympics. I mean, sluggish, like coming back to it. If he could just go into a season healthy, would be right as bloody rabbits, to be fair. So we've got him at number 9, Kevin Durant at 10, Trae Young at 11, and Steph Curry there. Trae Young at 11 and a first-round value. He's making a return this year. And Steph at 12. That's banking on the bounce back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it at all. Getting your assists up there with Trae and Steph, that seems pretty good to me. Kevin Durant, yeah, I mean, you can't really back against KD at the moment, can you? He's still just so bloody good. It's just what he does. Spider at 13, and
so that's a pairing
like that.
there. That's a couple of guard. Karan's gone really hard into the point guards right there. He's gone Donovan Mitchell and Karan. That's trying to lock down points, threes, high free throw percentage straight off the rip.
Steals, he's got that as well. Yeah, really good free throws on really good bulk. So I like that from Karan. Kingy with Sabonis and Trae, which is nice for the assists. I like that as well, getting the bulk of the rebound, one of the best rebounders in the NBA. And then Ant Edwards goes off the board at 15, G. We do have to get a bit of a jump up for Ant, although he's one of the best players off court. Ant Edwards, his fantasy game's not all there to be this superstar type player yet. You would have to agree.
Yeah, I do. Look, I love Ant. Like I'm not an anti-Ant guy. I just don't see him as a first round guy yet, and that's not where he is. Yeah. It's not where he's finished. It's just where we love the player, and so therefore we invest in him. And what kind of breakout can you expect with a loaded Minnesota Timberwolves? I'm not sure he gets into this phase. But let's be honest, he is going around the second round in most of these drafts. If he falls out, I think hashtag had him at 26 last year or around in the 20s. You're just jumping a little bit early there. Guys like Booker, Scotty Barnes, I like that from Papi Roy. LaMelo Ball, we've done our preview. I think LaMelo Ball is a guy who there's 2 Hornets that can help you win your league, Skiddy. And if they slip because of injury history and they play 75 games, God forbid, 70 games, LaMelo Ball and Mark Williams, if you can get them slipping, they're really going to return great value for you. So I like that there. Chet Holmgren, that's about where this is. I see a bump this year for Harden, and then it was back for me. I had Harden in my queue. I was really trying to pair him up with Shea. I thought good steals there. Yep. I thought assist pairing that up, and Scotty Keller's taking him. So I took Kawhi. I'm banking on, well, the Clippers are going to need him to play. Hopefully he plays. and it was either him, Kyrie, him or Kyrie. James, like I had. How are you with there with Kawhi?
Yeah, look, there's obviously the sit-down risk, but we didn't see as much of that last season. Kawhi was really solid for the whole year last year. So he ended up being the 8th overall player, G, and we saw him. He played 68 games. So that's, at the moment, that's enough for Kawhi to be able to return that first-round value. So I reckon you've made a really solid pick there, G. And then Josh going with the pairing of Luka and Kyrie.
Yeah, elite.
Not bad.
Not bad. Not bad at all. Thanks, Kingy. So far, you haven't stuffed up the draft. Well done.
No, I was waiting for Skiddy to rip my picks so I could come in and sort of rebuttal, but I think he liked both my picks. So
yeah,
so,
Trey
and gentlemen.
Trey and whoever the second one was, G's got it.
Trey and Sabonis.
Yeah, Trey and Sabonis. Love that. I love that pairing. Nice assist, good rebounding up there. You got the free throws that aren't like Sabonis doesn't kill Trey Young's free throw percentage. I reckon that's really, really good by you there, Kingy. Let's see if this carries on.
Let's see if it carries on.
Let's
LeBron James. LeBron James finishes out the round with Damian Lillard. Dan Bresbus going early. Dan Bresbus hates a young guy. He doesn't want to be painted like one of those French girls. Dan Bresbus loves the old boys. So Lowry here, really just solidifying his position. Like that for him. Micah Tron taking Brunson. Look, this is peak Brunson. I don't know about you guys. There's a lot of mouths to feed in New York. I am not overly as bullish as other people are on Brunson early in the third round. If he slips towards the end of the third round, I think it's a grab. But there's other guys here. What do you reckon, guys?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's just way too many mouths to feed. Like as I've said, there's 8 players there that will probably get a good enough NBA players to be able to score the ball, and that's what Brunson does a lot. I don't think we're going to be seeing this 30 points a game that we see last year from Brunson. But yeah, that's just where I kind of go at it. He can still go off each and every game. How about you, Kingy?
Yeah, look, I mean, Brunson was 30th last year, and that was probably best case scenario. Randall was out for a long time. They didn't have Mikal Bridges. Anunoby came in late. So, yeah, I mean, it's not terrible, but there's not really any meat on the bone in terms of value. I think this is drafting him at his ceiling. So I don't hate it, but I think there's guys around there that you could take that could potentially break into the second round. I'm not sure Brunson can do that.
Agreed.
My Brunson is 30 and below. I'm okay with. Above 30, taking him at 29, 28. I mean, it's only a couple picks, sure, but I'm not as keen on it. Whereas I'm kind of like really happy with the value that I'm pulling up. If this was you down at pick 11 in this round or Karan, Kingy, I'd be like, that's a great pick. You know what I mean? Like I'd just be taking it around that 35, 36 mark. And then it falls off. Great pick by Josh there. Fred VanVleet. He was in my queue. One of the wonderful times that Josh decided to just be like, you know what, Matty? Fuck you. And take a guy that I had in my queue. This is one of those drafts, though, where queues, Kingy, I don't know how many guys you had pinned in. They got just obliterated every single round.
I did not have a queue until very, very late.
I should do that for my sanity. I should do.
Yeah, no, look, in a draft like this, I didn't really have a strategy or anything, and probably sort of created one as I went through. But no, I just sort of wait till it got to within close to where I was picking, and then I just went with guys I just think are fun as well this year in this draft. So as you'll see from my next, not my 6th pick, but my next 3 picks. Are just guys that I think are cool and are going to be fun to watch.
I love that. I think Triple J return is there. Scott Keller's taken Paul George. Tyrese Maxey for Dan Titus, again, a little bit high. Alex Baratha had Alpi Şengün. I think a bit high for Alpi. Bit high for me. I was a little bit like, oh, that's off the board, but he can return value. Karl Anthony Towns there. Bam Adebayo. De'Aaron Fox. Again, like you said, fun guy. Cade Cunningham for you, and DeJounte Murray finishing off the round. Anyone jump out there as a reach, boys?
Yeah. I'm not It's not too high, but Tyrese Maxey's a little bit high for me. I just think that he's going to be the third guy in Philly now. And he relies so heavily on his points and usage that if all three of them play, he's probably going to be the one to cop a little bit. That's a little bit high, not overly, not overly out of the top. But Kingy, so how many years in a row have you been on the Cade Cunningham hype train and that he's absolutely hurt you again, and you're going to do it again this year, are you?
I am, yes. Well, how long has he been in the league? Because that's how long I've been on the
I think it's 4 years.
Yeah, it's been a rough ride so far. But yes, look, I think getting him here, like back end of the third, is okay. So yeah, I'm perfectly fine. I actually like where Detroit are headed this year. I think they've made some good moves. I'm not saying they're going to take off and become a powerhouse or anything, but hopefully they won't regress. So they'll at least be motivated to be on the court. They've got a new coach. So no, I'm happy to see Detroit moving forward, and hopefully Cade is right on the top of that mountain and guiding them where they need to go. So yeah, look, it might bite me, but whatever.
Kingy, for once, I'm completely on board with you with the Cade pick around here because of that coaching change that you said. JB Bickerstaff, as we know, the former Cleveland Cavaliers coach, absolutely loves flogging his star to take as many shots as possible and does not give a crap about all the other guys around there. So I think that Cade is just going to get a boatload of it. He's going to be able to get a boatload of assists, and he's just going to be able to get the other things that, come around because he is such a great player. So I'm all on board with it for you.
And I think the takeaway as well is that this is a guy that people were reaching for at the beginning of the second round. And what you're seeing now is the fall. Like, basically, you've fallen around the value. And you kind of expected him to be that guy at the end of the second round for a couple of years there. He was being drafted around, the 20s to 24, 25 at the turn. And he wasn't coming back to you at the third round. You had the power here to take him or not. Karan may have, but Karan's taken DeJounte, a fine pick. And then he's taken Jalen Williams. Love it. Love these two picks together for Karan. Strong draft by Karan. I really liked his draft. Is it part of you wanting Jalen Williams to just fall back to you there, Kingy, instead of Paolo? Were you like, J-Dub?
Yeah, look, I considered Jalen Johnson here as well. But I don't know. I just think Paolo is right there. He's ready to take off. And I think much like Detroit, but I guess a few tiers above them, I think they're moving in the right direction. KCP is a really good addition for them. And I just think Paolo, if you ignore sort of some of his flaws like the free throws and things like that, I think he could average, 25, 26 points. He gets assists because they don't really have a point guard as such. They've got Jalen Suggs, but it's going to be Banchero, Suggs, and Franz all sort of handling the ball. So, yeah, I just really like Banchero for this year. I think he's ready to take that next step. So I was happy to get him. Jalen Williams, I would have considered as well. But I like Banchero.
I know you're higher on Jalen Johnson. Of the two Jalens, you see more upside with Johnson than you do Williams.
Yeah, I think so. They're pretty close. And fine close. In this range. I think anywhere in the fourth round is fine for both of them. But I'm slightly higher on Jalen Johnson, and that's probably just because I've got him in 2 dynasty leagues.
Personal investment. Evan Mobley there going off to wrap. Ja Morant, nice pick. I think. Look, Pascal, I think it's about the range you've got to start to flirt with him. I wasn't as high on that one. Love Jalen Johnson there, like you said. Desi Bain, great pick there by Titus. Dan Titus being redeemed in your eyes there, Skiddy.
Oh, mate, Titus is always does the right thing. But yeah, I like the Desi Bain one there. I think he'll bounce back as the Grizzlies will with, Ja Morant returning, and they get the other big body that they've been lacking since Steven Adams went down. So I like that one. And then we got Derek White, which is a nice pick as well. I think that's a little bit low, but I like that from I like that one from Scotty. And then you went Jared Allen. Talk me through it because I like it.
I know you like it. It's not because it's a home pick. Look, I like Allen a lot. I love Allen a lot. I think he's a great player. He doesn't hurt me free throw percentage wise. He gets me blocks. He gets me rebounds. He gets me a great field goal percentage. Doesn't cop the ball up too much. He's got bloody great hands for a big man. I like Jared Allen a hell of a lot. We saw him last year where that team was decimated by injury, and he was a first-round player. for a sustained period of time, a couple of weeks there. Now, I'm not saying that, he's going to do that again. He's going to be this like top 20 guy. But around here, when centers is going to start to, I knew that centers were going to start to go off the board early. And I'm like, I want to get one that I like, who fits what I'm trying to do. And you can just see now, let's skip through it. You can look on the side there. It goes from Allen, Josh has taken Jaylen Brown, Jimmy Butler, and Jamal Murray has gone off the board to round it out. And then you can start to see centers starting to come out. You got Gobert. You've got DeAndre Ayton. Now, he's putting him in a flex spot, but Gobert's gone off. DeAndre Ayton. Picked by Josh. Tobias Harris, questionable at 50 because people are like, that high, but there's not a lot around in bloody Detroit. I liked it. Franz, I like it. DeMar DeRozan. And here we go. You can start to see more of the big centers coming off. Jalen Duren, Miles Turner coming off this round. Great pick by Karan at the end of the round with Zion. In between this round, there's a lot of the power forward big ones. Then we go on to Nick Claxton, Vucevic. So you can start to see that the guys you want, Brock Lopez going off next, Mark Williams, Hartenstein. Like in these 3 rounds, the centers that you want to get in your drafts, they're going to go in the end of round 4 or in round 5. They're going to get gone kingy. And we start to saw that happen here.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, there's always runs of centers. There's usually an early one, then one in the middle, and then one around the sort of 90 to 100 mark. So yeah, Jared Allen, I don't mind that. I would have gone with Jalen Duren, but I'm all on Detroit this year, so that's more of a me thing.
It's a bit of a homer pick for me for Allen, to be fair. I love Allen.
Yeah, and
you could be the only one that's on Detroit.
Yeah, I am. So. Yeah, no, I think it's fine, but yeah, there are periods in the draft where you do need to just grab those centers. Hence my pick of Vucevic.
Hey, in fairness, Kingy, he slid way too far in my eyes. 62 for Vuce is actually not bad at all. Who else is going to do anything in Chicago? It's Vuce, Levine. They got guys that need to keep like working towards their game. I like to pick a Vuce.
If a trade happens, he could go. Do you think he finishes the season in Chicago, Kingy?
Potentially not, and if so, probably not actually playing. So he'll either be on another team or he'll be injured.
Injured.
I love the
Sorry, I think they want to see Jalen Smith.
Oh, geez, Sticks.
Yep.
Oh God.
No, see, I like Sticks as a late round flyer. I really like it. I like Sticks as a later on one down there. Just on round 5, before we skip over it entirely, I loved Kingy you taking quickly there, and I was you bastard when he's come out of my queue because I was, you know that I've been on quickly for a while, and I had him in there. I think you're one of the only blokes that knows how much I like Emmanuel Quickly this season. So I was a little bit angry at you, Kingy, and I think I swore at you in chat, and I'm sorry for that. But
no,
that
makes me feel good about myself.
Yeah, great pick.
Great pick. I think anyone else there that stands up, apart from me, the Darius Garland at 55, I think was a bit high. I can start to see him going in like maybe the next round. Anyone else there really jump out to you as too much? But I thought this was actually like a solidly played out round, to be fair, round 5.
I think that Miles Turner at 58 is great value. I think Zion around 60 could be great value as well. On with Kingy as well, where Jalen Duren would have been probably ahead of a couple of the other centers there, just basing on upside. But yeah, I think it's all around the right mark for this round. I'm so confused with how DeMar DeRozan in Sacramento is going to be able to work. I think it's just going to hurt so many, like him, Fox, Keegan Murray. I think it's going to hurt all of them, just as being such a ball dominant ISO player. Good for the Sacramento Kings to win games, but for fantasy wise, I don't know how it's going to affect DeMar. As he has to be that kind of player to be able to be fantasy relevant. 53 seems a tad high, just depending on how this Sacramento team works out.
I'm with you there. I'm actually a little bit more hopeful, and I don't know why. I just think, and I go back to San Antonio Spurs, like a version of himself where he was a distributor. He could easily get you 20 points a game, and he finished 39th in his last season with them as well. So if I see him fitting back into that, I'm like, now he's not the same guy. That's age. That was like the 2021 season. So we are, putting ourselves in the DeLorean and going back, but his assists were up. He played good team basketball. He doesn't stretch the floor necessarily as a 3-point like shooter. the DeMar DeRozan. And I think you kind of need that when you've got a guy like Fox who likes to attack the rim. I see that being a little bit haphazard in their offense. But look, I like him there, and I think he'll get his, and eventually you'll just see DeMar DeRozan finish your standings at the end of the year between 50 and 60, and you'll be okay with it. So 53 is not bad. Could be a bit high on Ayton there by Microtron, because we don't know what's going to happen in Portland. We've got Klingon coming in, and maybe he gets a rundown, and he just doesn't. Williams doesn't get these games that we want him to, because they're, as you say, injured. Kingy. So we'll see what happens there. But up to round 6, Clacko, my boy Nick Claxton, the free throw percentage killer, leads it off. And then your boy Vooch. Brandon Miller, I like here at 63. We've just done our Charlotte Hornets preview. And yeah, we like Miller this season, boys.
Yeah, Miller around there, maybe a touch high, but you're banking on the upside. Can, as we said, the only thing that kind of worries us is the usage with LaMelo being back and Bridges still being there. So on that, yeah, not too bad though, Jay. I think Holiday's probably a bit high though at 65. That's from Pappy Roy. That seems way too high.
Yeah, he's got a few Celtics in his team right now. Julius Randle, I think this is great value for Julius at 66. Mikal Bridges, 67, a bit high. Brock Lopez, as we said, the center started coming off. Anthony Simons, I like Anthony Simons around 70. He had a good stretches last year. He's not going to hurt me. Like apart from field goal percentage is going to hurt probably. But look, I like his game overall, and he does play. He's kind of like the guy in Portland without being the guy, I guess. I think there's a rise and scoot this year, but I do like him. And then the next guy I was hoping was going to come back to me to finish my center pairing. This was the Isaiah Hartenstein here at 70. I like it a lot. What about you boys? Do you see Hartenstein having a place, or do you think he comes off the bench in OKC, Kingy?
I don't think it really matters. I think they paid him to play, and he was around this area last year. I want to say he was 74th last year in 25 minutes. So I figure he's going to play at least 25 minutes. I think not having Thibodeau as his coach helps, because they can utilize him a bit more on the offensive end. I'm not saying they're going to run plays for him, but they can run through him. So yeah, I think. Hartenstein is fine here. I think his floor is probably top 80, top 85. But, I don't think he'll have the opportunity to be a top 40 player or anything like that, but really safe, sneaky in steals. I think he had more steals than blocks last year from memory.
He did. He did. Yeah.
And so he'll be, close to a double-double with 3.5 assists, a steal, a block. Doesn't kill your percentages. So, yeah, I'm fine with him here.
Mm-hmm. Terry Rozier off the board next. That's a bit early there, Skiddy.
I think that's probably a little bit early for Scary Terry, but you are getting a starting point guard in Miami. He didn't really do great once he came over from Miami last season. From Charlotte last season to Miami. But you get the preseason under the belt, and you could probably see a little bit more out of Scary Terry. So I think he's banking on him to return to, peak scoring Charlotte days, which, Jimmy Butler's getting a little bit older. It's in heat culture. You never know.
You never know. Marky Williams there. We're banking on the health of Mark Williams. Like I said, now at 72 for a guy that we all thought was going to be top 50 last year. This is where, if he is healthy, the back holds up. It's really good value to pick up a guy like Mark Williams. So I like that. I like the bit of it's again, we need to actually hear a decent report from the Charlotte Hornets to tell us if he's healthy or not. That would be lovely. And then he rolled in and he's backed that up with Bradley Beal. Again, a couple of really good picks by Bezbris here, because 73 I just think that's nothing but value. I think Keegan Murray, like you said before, Skiddy, is the guy that gets hurt the most. I think his 3-point shooting is going to be there, but I think the peripherals around points and rebounds and threes kind of go away. And then this is where Josh Lloyd really pissed me off. Like, this is where I was just fucking swearing at my phone, throwing it against the wall, because picking before him on the turn, I was like, I'll get Simons. And then my cue was Hartenstein and Giddey. And I was going to take one of those two guys next. And then he's gone and taken Josh Giddey here at 75. I love that place. We all think that he has a home in Chicago this year, yeah?
Well, yeah, absolutely. But, he's never been a top 100 player in fantasy. But I think him getting away from Shea is probably the best thing that can happen for Giddey. It just comes down to, is LaMelo Ball able to come back this season. And if he is, because that will hinder Skiddy and Kobe White. Just depends how that's all going to work in Chicago, but that's still up in the air at the moment.
Where do you think he finishes, King?
Well, look, it's unknown at the moment because, I mean, as Skiddy said, he's never been a top 100 player, but I think he's at least going to get the opportunity to try and be a top 100 player this season. So if Chicago just sort of let him loose and are confident and he can just do what he wants, I think this is okay. I think you've probably got to take him inside the top 80 and just take a bit of a chance on him and see what happens. Just touching on Keegan Murray very quickly.
Yeah.
I do think DeRozan hurts him, but I do think that he's still going to have a pretty significant role because if you look at their lineup, they have 0 floor spacing. They have Sabonis, they have DeRozan, they have Fox. And Fox can shoot threes, but as you said, he likes to get to the bucket. They have Keon Ellis potentially as their 5th starter.
They still got Kevin Huerter?
I don't know. Who cares? I don't know. They probably do. But they're going to need Keegan to space the floor. So he's still going to get shots, but yes, it does sort of put a cap on his upside probably. But Harrison Barnes, you look at all the shots he was taking, they're all going to go to Keegan Murray on the perimeter because DeRozan's not taking them. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that looks because they're going to be very plugged up inside the key.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like a Michael Porter Jr. situation where he'll just be out there on the perimeter, random spaces around, and there's Keegan Murray, open shot.
Yeah,
good.
He'll have some games where he'll have some 30-point games where he hits 8 or 9 threes, but then he'll have other games where he only gets 8 points on 2 of 11 shooting kind of thing. So it'll be pretty inconsistent, I think, and so it'll probably come down to whether he can continue to build on that, on his defensive stuff and some rebounding and those other stats.
Mm-hmm. All right, rip into me, boys. This was the pick that I feel that I kooked the most. I was just looking around I was panicked. Giddy's gone, Hartenstein's gone. I was like, Jesus, I want points. I need some more points. I need some rebounds. I just want to shore up some stuff. I've taken Kuzma at 76. I think it's too early. This was the one I was the most unhappiest with. That was a dumb move, wasn't it?
Look. 114 last season. Yeah, I'm trying to. Look, in fairness, last season when Wizards were pretty much all done and dusted, he was the 64th ranked overall player, but he was averaging 12 rebounds a game. The assist did come up a little bit for Kuz, but yeah, you probably went a little bit too early on him.
I went too early. I rushed. I was like, yeah. Kingy, go. Go at me. Go on.
Yeah, look, let's be honest. It's probably too early, but I think you could sort of sell it in that he's a 20-point scorer, so they get harder to find. So he's going to get your points. Yeah. He's a decent rebounder. And I just think if it really depends on what you're drafting him for, because he's not going to get you any defensive stuff. But as you said, his assists increased a little bit. So he was 114th last year. But I'm sure, like having a look here, if you were to punt steals and, I don't know, field goal percentage, he probably moves inside the top 70 or 80. Hang on, I'll have a look. I'll do it for you.
Thank you. Because that's what I was going for. I was like, I need some more rebounds and some points and some threes. Kuz can do all these things for me. I'm going to open it up that way. Guys off, I looked around in the list. I wasn't also that happy. It's kind of like a bit of a dark time in your history when you start getting into your search. You've got guys coming up now like CJ McCollum, Jabari. What does he come out punting those, King?
So if you punt those two categories, he's the 60th ranked player.
Great pick. Great pick, Matty. Oh, huge.
Yeah. So, I love that pick. Fantastic.
Well done, Jay. You're a superstar.
Hey. Oh, Jesus. It worked out in the end. CJ McCollum, Jabari Smith Jr., Ingram, White, Suggs, Green, Jalen Green here. Oh, jeez. There you go. This is why you're here, King. This is why you're here, Skiddy. You weren't part of this draft. You see that, your gut reaction is, geez, why?
Yeah, that's a bit early. That seems way too early. I mean, I guess you get him for points, but you're banking on a lot from a lot that's improved from last season. We saw that Jalen Green was coming off the bench at certain points last year. I know he had that really hot stretch right at the end of the season, but he was he was benched. So, yeah, we just have to wait and see how that goes for Raph on the Jalen Green pick. But I think that's way too high for him. I think CJ McCollum's also too high. But that's all right. Each of their own. I want Kingy to tell me about OG Anunoby at 83. I'm not saying it in a bad way. That's great steals to be able to get, but that's a log jam and a half, King. And he's what, the fourth option?
Fourth?
Yes. Yeah. Look, it's not ideal. I mean, it was steals. Let's be honest, it was steals. That's why I took him there.
Absolutely fine.
So, yeah. Look, I mean, you're right. He's probably the third, fourth option. Like, he's certainly not high on the priority list. So, I do think he's just going to be spotting up and hitting threes, but he's going to play big minutes. They need him on the floor. Like we saw that. Yeah. He's very important to them. So he's going to be out there. He's going to get a lot of minutes. Steals will hopefully come back a little bit. He was pretty slow to start last year, but I thought he looked a lot better in New York. So yeah, look, if I could get 12 or 13 points, 3 threes, 1.6 steals, doesn't really hurt percentages at all. So I'm okay with it. But yeah, look, I mean, looking back, there's probably some other names I could have taken there, but I don't hate it, but I don't love it.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
I think it's fine. We've just done our preview of the Brooklyn Nets, Kingy, and we're doing an ADP battle. So make sure you check out our team previews. We're doing it in a fun and a different way this year, and we have we do an ADP battle. And I guess this one we could do a bit of a preview for it almost, because we actually did Jordan Poole and Cam Thomas. And these are a couple of guys who are about to go off, and they're on our draft boards as well. Don't forget, if you do want the ultimate draft day kit, you can get our analyst boards, our consensus board, and over 220 player reference guide and statistics. It's stuff that you can't get everywhere. We've made this spreadsheet because we couldn't find all this information in one place. So we grabbed all this data, we put it in one place for you. You can get it now on our Patreon. I will put a link in the chat as well across all, so you can get that one. You've taken here when you had the choice, Kingy, and this pretty much backs up exactly what Skiddy and I have said. We would be taking Poole above Cam Thomas this year, because you've gone from OG to Jordan Poole, Tyler Hero's come off the bench to Karan next, and then back to Cam Thomas. This could be a really good year for Cam Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been sort of on the Cam Thomas train at all, but I just think Brooklyn are going to be so bad, and they really have no one else. They have other players, but no one who can score. I mean, when you think that Nick Claxton might potentially be their second option on offense, that's not a good team. So, yeah, look, I mean, I think it's an interesting little pocket here of with Poole, Tyler Hero, Cam Thomas. They're all very similar in what they do. I'd probably prefer Tom. Like, I was happy that Thomas fell to me there, getting him potentially a 25-point scorer. I just think it's not going to be pretty, but getting him here this late in a draft, I mean, he could be top 10 theoretically scorer in the league. So, really happy to get Cam Thomas here. But I do think Jordan Poole could be in for a better year.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Kingy. I mean, the bulk free throws and on great percentages for Cam Thomas is what really is going to be able to drive him to be such a good fantasy player this season. But yeah, I also lean Poole just because we know that now Tyus Jones is now gone. And I think Washington are fully in on Jordan Poole to be the full-time point guard.
Yeah, 100%. And he did show improvement towards the end of last year. So this is a guy where we have to look around. His projections are a little bit all over the place, but we could probably see him coming just inside the top 100 at least, instead of being a bit buyer beware. And you can get value out of that. Like you said, King, a 25-point scorer or a guy to do those kind of things in this point at the draft really is, it's not easy to come by. And you look at who goes next. Yeah. This is like bench guys and some starters. But what kind of starters and bench guys are you getting? You got Trey Murphy, Armin Thompson, Michael Porter, Yusuf Nurkic, Austin Reeves, Alex Caruso, like over in OKC. That's great. This is exactly why I've taken D'Angelo Russell at 93. And I thought this was one of my best picks of the draft. And it's D'Angelo bloody Russell. So I'm not thrilled about it. Like, I'm not really, but the Los Angeles Lakers are a copy and paste from last year, aren't they? Like, what have they done to buoy my faith that this guy is going to be any worse than he was last year? In fact, he could probably be a little bit better because he had a really shocking start to the season.
Mm-hmm. Well, they drafted Bronny, so that's obviously going to hinder D'Angelo Russell.
Look, I know that hashtag basketball in their rankings that have just come out, he was at 57. I know in my rankings, I have him about 72, I thought. So to pick him up there at 93 is a couple of rounds of value that I get from someone who's points, rebounds, assists, can block shots as a point guard, and I liked. Pirtle, I liked here as well. This is another guy. You said around the 90 to 100s, other big guys start to go off. So this is a really great pickup for Jakob Pirtle.
Yeah, look, he's pretty safe. We know exactly who he is. If you look at, where are we, 8, 10. So, in this range, you've got Pirtle, Valanciunas is about to go off the board, Zubac, Kessler, Capella, Lively, Okongwu. So we've got a few guys. And of all of those guys, I think Pirtle probably has, Kessler, I mean, he has the upside, but Pirtle in terms of blocks, he can get some assists. Toronto are crap. So, look, I think Pirtle is pretty safe here. The worry is that Toronto shut it down, but that's the worry with Valanciunas. That's the worry with, who knows what Capella's going to do. Kessler might not even start. So, there's a little bit of risk with all of these guys. That's why they're falling into the 90s. So I think it's a fine pick. And just quickly going back to Jordan Poole, because I know there was a question about why do we think Poole is going to break out? And you mentioned the fact that Tyus Jones isn't there. So I think there's some assist for his upside. Valanciunas is there. They've got a center. Last year they did not have a good center. So they've now got Alex Sarr. They've now got Valanciunas. So I just think there's more options on the court. So defenses can't just focus in solely on Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma as well. So I do think Poole is prime for, not saying he's going to be top 50 or anything like that, but better than we saw last year.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And he had a disastrous run to start the year. Like, people would, do you remember the trades that were going around for Jordan Poole last year? Like cents on the dollar for where you were drafting him, thinking he could be the number one scorer in the air. Like, who was it? There was one analyst who went out there and said, like, his hottest take at the preseason was Jordan Poole could be the number one scorer in the NBA. And that's fair enough. He could have been, but he wasn't. He was really, really bad. And then he made some grounds back. So like you said, Washington made some competent moves. And that comes us down around the turn here. I love the pick from Dan Besbris here of Kuminga. Great upside this season in Golden State. Good picking from him. And then he's backed it up with, like you said, Valanciunas. So to pick up Big Val at 97, dependable, great rebounder, good for points, doesn't hurt your percentages. Really good pick on a newly more competent, God, that just hurts me to say, a more competent Washington Wizards team. And that kicks us off. Take us through this round, Skiddy, and your thoughts. Round 9.
Valanciunas, I think, you can get away with that there. Scoot Henderson, that's a nice pick at 98. Still probably needs a little bit more, but so the percentages might hurt a bit, but that's all right for Scoot. We can see the assist coming from there, which is probably nice around this area. There's not much going on else there. Zubac is safe as hell. If he can get a couple more minutes, double-double pretty comfortably on high field goal percentage. Dan Gafford, G.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like it around there, mate. It's good value. It just depends what's going on with the logjam with Lively because they split minutes.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I was in 3 minds. I'm like, I had 3 guys at the top. Like, so I'm sitting there on my phone. I'm literally on my way to work. We're doing this draft. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, I want another center or a power forward. I love the dual eligibility of Dan Gafford for the power forward center spot. That's what gets him a really good tick for me. I can play him at the power forward. I can play him at the center. I actually love that switchability in my draft and on my team and in my roster. And I actually moved him to free up some space later on as well. Because of that, if I draft Derek Lively, I just get a center. And that's 100% why I took him, to be honest.
Fair enough.
The other guy I was looking at was going off to Alex Barutha later that round. Chris Middleton, I think, is a top 100 player.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I kind of already filled those positions. And then I went Kessler for Keller there as well. Anyone stand out to you? But this is apart from look at the end of the 9th round there, Skiddy. Look all the way down past the Okongwu pick, like that from you, Kingy. The hope is still alive that he's the starter. Good boy. And then look at that next pick and tell us your thoughts there, Skiddy.
Alex Sarr at 108. I know we're picking for upside, but what are we doing this early? Alex Sarr, come on, mate. It's like 2 rounds early. The bloke, as I said, I don't like any of the rookies from this season like to come in and be like super fantasy relevant. Does Alex Sarr profile well? Yes. We saw what he did in the summer league. Wasn't overly great. He had good blocks and some good rebounds, but shooting was dog shit. The offense was just not there yet, and he needs a lot of time to be able to expand on that. I think that's at peak, and we could be talking about the 160th best player quite comfortably this season.
100%. Can you anyone in this round that you think stood out, or you're like, oh, could have taken that guy, or it's too early? Anyone jump out for you in round 9?
No, look, I was happy to get a Kongwu there. This is about where he finished last year, and I think that was a bad season. Prior to that, he'd been better. I don't know. Surely they have to start prioritizing a Kongwu this year. I mean, we've been saying it for 3 or 4 years, but I don't know. Surely the time has come. So I think this is really safe. Alex Sarr, yeah, look, I'm not interested in him this year. I can see, as Skiddy said, the upside is there. We know he profiles quite well, but I worry that Washington are going to play him out of position because they're going to play him at power forward alongside Valanciunas and try and have him spreading the floor a bit. And he can do that, but he can do a lot more. And so I worry that he's going to be forced into doing things that he doesn't necessarily want to do or should be doing as much. So I think he'll have fantasy value at times, but yeah, there's other rookies I'd be taking ahead of him. As Skiddy said, none of them are priorities this year. We don't have a Wemby or a Chet or a Scoot or a Brandon Miller, but there are certainly rookies I'd take it ahead of Sarr at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. And look, he backs that up with. I thought Karan was a masterful draft until now. KP at 109. I don't think we see the guy until near the All-Star break. And this is, if you can stash him in an IR or an IL spot during the course of your draft, excellent. Well done. Like, that's nice drafting around there. But if you can't do that, you will be having a handicap player here at this time that you can't just, if you have the roster spot to do it or availability in your league, if you can stash him straight away, go back up and pick up someone at the end of your draft, awesome. I am dubious to see when he is going to come back. They're going to take it easy. We saw it with the Celtics last year. They want KP to be able to play. He wants to be able to play, it seems like, for the first time in a very long time. So that's, a little bit iffy there for me. I love the Dyson Daniels pick there. I think he has a home, Kingy, in Atlanta, and I think he's going to be a more reliable Matisse Thybulle type in this one. Get minutes. I think he's going to be the starting shooting guard. Skiddy disagrees with me. You think it's Bogey?
I think they're going to go at the start of the year at least. I think they're going to go Bogey just for reliability. Dyson's obviously been in the Olympics, and I think they're just going to go, well, they've already got, continuity between Trey and Bogey. So I think they go there. But again, they could just go Bogey at the 3, have Hunter and Ricochet off the bench, and have Dyson start at the 2. It's always also possible.
I love these next picks. Go on, go, Skid.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, Kingy. So I like the pick of Dyson because he profiles well as being someone that can get rebounds out of the guard position, steals, assists. It doesn't, kill field goal percentage. So I really like the pick as the upside swing.
But there's a lot of guys. Yeah, there's a lot of guys. I was going to say that you can get those upside swings, Kingy, but you can't get stability and starters like that you love around this area too often, can you?
No, and I do. I mean, the guy that went off the board after I took Dyson was Chris Paul, and I was contemplating Chris Paul. I more went for Daniel. I think I'd rather Chris Paul. I almost certainly would rather Chris Paul over Dyson Daniels, but it was a bit of a homer pick just because I'm trying to get Dyson in every league. I hope he starts, and when we're not sure, I'd like to think that they start him alongside Trey and then bring Bogey as off the bench as the 6th man because he's done that before, and let him play alongside Trey for a little bit, and then Dyson can then come in and do those backup point guard minutes. But Buffkin's there as well. who I thought looked pretty good last year. So it's not as simple as that. So this is probably about as high as you want to go on Daniels, and you probably don't have to go this high in most drafts. But I really like his opportunity here. But as I said, Chris Paul, the next pick, I think that was a really good value pick by Raf.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was a great pick. Bogdanovich, I thought this is the good starters getting off the rest of the board. Bogdanovich, Draymond Green, Marcus Smart, great pick from Keontae George in the upside there from Dan Titus. Mike Conley, just safe, always underrated, ends up returning your value during the course of your season. RJ Barrett, I think, was one of the surprises of the draft. And again, this is where I was like, no one's taking RJ Barrett. I like RJ Barrett. I've gone for the points thing. I need another one. And then Josh Lloyd's taken him, of all people, who has not hated him, but not been an advocate of RJ Barrett over the years. So I thought that was a great pick, because that just shows you, when you put it aside, what you personally think or do about a player, and you take the best available guy and you think their potential, you can just pick really strongly off that one. Colin Sexton and Bobby Portis, who's just a handcuff and a good, dependable player there, backing up Tyus Jones into round 11. And then, again, guys that I like for upside. Trace Jackson Davis was another one that Josh said. This is where we've seen Klay Thompson go, I love TJD. He's on my board. I know, Skiddy, when you saw my board, you're high on Trace this year. I'm like, well, yeah. I think he's going to have a better season in Golden State. So I love that one there. Standing out that round, PJ Washington was my next pick. Just floor spacing, rebounds, upping my percentages a little bit. Good role players. Denny Advia. Now, this is someone we're thinking could be a steal draft day. Good season from Washington. What do you like for Advia this year in Portland, Skiddy? Or do you think 125 is too high?
I think it might be a touch high, but, he's going to be the starting three there, you would assume, for Portland. I think that he can do a lot, like a little bit of everything. And he was so good last season because, Poole was out for a bit, and so was Coos, and he was doing a lot there for Washington. I don't know if I fully trust Avdia, but, 125 is worth a swing. I still think it's just going to be more about it's going to be more of the Scoot, Simons, and Ayton show rather than Denny Avdia. But he's still in a position that he can do it well.
Got a question from Matty Carmody here. By the way, boys, I know that my thing is, I think it's Gafford who starts the year just to start off with, but I do think Lively gets the run occasionally as well. I think it's interchangeable over in Dallas, and we've seen them do that at different times depending on the matchup, haven't we?
Yep. Interchangeable, and I think Gafford probably gets a nod at the start.
Yeah, I agree. I think Gafford probably starts, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Lively play more minutes.
That's true.
I like that. I like that a lot, Kingy. 11.
And Denny Avdia. I like him. I trust him.
Yeah.
I don't trust Portland. So I think getting him here is okay because we're in our bench. So anywhere after pick round 11, you're picking your bench. So the upside is there, but I don't know what Portland are doing. I'm trying to, I'll just say I'm not picking any Portland players, and then my next pick is a Portland player. But
I was just saying that. You're looking down there. I'm like, look at what are you talking about? Shaded Sharp.
We're in round 11, so whatever.
That's actually a really, really good point, though. Like, does Avdia start? Like, because they could just go with Scoot, Simons, Sharp, Grant, and Ayton. Does Avdia actually start?
No.
I don't know. Oh, my stupid cat is playing with his toy again. I don't know. I think he could. I think he potentially should. But
yeah, he should. But I don't. He's Portland. How do we know? We don't. And
would they have to piss off Jeremy Grant before Avdia would start, and maybe they start him at the 4?
Yeah, but who's taking that contract? There has to be incentives. There's going to have to be incentives around. Look, he has a role, but Detroit could, but they've got Tobias Harris now, so it makes it a little bit jammy. But like you said, this is where we start to get into we're on our bench, so we're flirting with upside and we're flirting with picks. So you're back on Mitch Robinson now, Adam Stock down here at pick 129. Love that, because if he's healthy, That's a great pick. Kelly Olynyk, he's coming off the bench. Naz Reid, these are bench players. Shaden Sharp could get the start, may get the start, maybe doesn't. Zach Edey, though, could be the starting center in Memphis. Could be. Will be, possibly. Great pick there by Karan. And then we're starting to look at all these other guys. You've gone another. I want to touch on this one. Khalil Ware, second pick of the 12th round. We've got Hendricks, Khalil Ware. Going through this one, look at the names there. Hendricks, Khalil Ware, Asar Thompson, Sohan, Powell. So the starters in teams of our 30 NBA teams are Sohan, Powell, Horford, Gary Trent, and that's it. So now we're getting bench guys. Yeah, KCP down the very bottom there to Dan Besbris on the turn. But these are all like minimalized guys. So guys who started last season who had flashes, like Dante DiVincenzo was going to be back in his bench role. Nemhard is a bench guy. Ivy, who the fuck knows what's going on there, maybe. But Kingy, you've taken Khalil Ware here because do you think he starts as the power forward opposite Bam, or do you think he's going to be just vital off their bench?
I'm not sure. I'd like to see him start alongside Bam, but I don't know whether Miami would. I think they'd start him at center and start Bam at the 4. But Bam can't. Well, look, I think Bam is trying to add a 3-point shot to his game. But Khalil Ware has a 3-point shot. But he looked really good in summer league. I think arguably of all the centers, he looked the best. So yeah, I'm not sure what his role. This is purely drafting for upside, and it'll be within a week or 2 weeks. I'll probably give him 2 weeks. I may have dropped him if he's coming off the bench and playing 12 or 15 minutes. I drop him, but if he's coming off the bench playing 22 minutes or starting and that sort of thing, then you hold on to him because I think he'll get rebounds. His offense looked pretty good. Like if you compare him to Alex Sarr, I thought he looked a lot more polished on the offensive end. So yeah, pure upside here. I don't know whether it's going to work for me, but if it does, I think he profiles quite well.
Yeah. Anyone standing out there for you, Skiddy, that you love, hate, or in between? Any emotional ties to in this round?
Yeah, I think this is going to be the big year for Jaden Ivey in if he's going to be staying around at Detroit or if he's going to actually take off and be good. JB Bickerstaff really likes to flog his main players. So we're going to see if he does believe in Jaden Ivey or not. And then also, too, they've got Ron Holland behind Ivy. So it's a pick that you can have a crack at for Alex, which I don't mind of having a swing. But there is a very good chance that Ivy could be just lost away somewhere and we won't be worrying about him, or he could really start to explode this season. So it's that's going to be a real big swing for Jaden Ivey, which we can, I'd like to see how that goes. And then on to pick round 13. How's the old handcuff getting Dennis Schroeder in there? I like it if Ben Simmons is injured again because Schroeder can ball when he gets the minutes.
Oh, 100%. We were talking about this in the Brooklyn preview the other night that Schroeder was an absolutely great pick up there on the side. For him, I like that a lot by Catron. Stephen Castle could be early. This is, I know that a lot of analysts are high on this, and I love the upside for. Look, I know that Josh spoke him up on his show. Carlo here. The sexiest thing about Carlo, possibly being the starting center in New Orleans, is the fact that he is eligible for almost every single position outside of point bloody guard. You can slot this guy in small forward, power forward, forward, center. He starts. This is where you said you started drafting for upside. Kingy, this is a great pick. Upside guys around here. I've taken Bub Carrington. That's for you, Skiddy. That's my Skiddy pick.
Hell yeah, G. That's what I'm talking about.
I love Carlton. I'm just gonna wear a Carlton like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air jumper on draft day this year just to get into full Bub mode.
Good.
This is the last one we started guys going off to. Klingon, Ricochet, Reed Shepherd. This was where rookies went on a bit of a run in this draft, Kingy.
Yeah, and this is, as we've said, there aren't any projected rookies who are sort of going to be top 50, top 80. So it is going to be this range where we're taking flyers and taking rookies. And Matkovic he's really interesting because he can give them some floor. He can give them things that they don't have at the moment. And I mean, when Daniel Tice is your potential starting center, you're really going to roll with anyone that you can try at center. So Look, it's a pure upside because he might not even be in the rotation. We really don't know what that's going to look like because they do have Misi as well, who they drafted quite high.
Ooh.
So, Carrington, fine, Klingon, and then there's a couple of sort of boring picks, but safe enough, Reese Shepherd. This is where you're going to see some rookies come off the board, and within a week or two, they're either going to be dropped or the managers are going to look like superstars.
Yeah.
All-time flex by you, finishing up that round, Josh Hart, DeAnthony Melton, and Ben Simons. We spoke about where does Ben Simons go last night on the Brooklyn Nets preview. That's where he goes. Skiddy, 156. It's like, do we take him? Do we trust him? And eventually he just found himself there. But his teammate, who we think is going to get a bit more run this season, or we're hopeful gets a run, Noah Clowney starts off Team 14. This is the swing for the fences. Take the best available guy on there. The guy in the last two rounds, personally, Skiddy and Kingy, I'm looking for who's going to give me the most, who's going to play the most minutes on the board, who has the most opportunity, and who has the most upside. So if it's not an opportunity or if it's not upside, I'm okay just not even touching these guys. So going through here, I thought the guys who had the most opportunity were going to be Vince Williams off the bench in Memphis, Buzelis, who was taken up before me, Grayson Allen, still doing Grayson Allen things, but not as good as last year. And then that was about it for me in this last final round that I was seeing after those rookies went off the board. Anything stand out to you, Skiddy?
I like Karan taking Ben Simmons. I can't believe Kingy didn't take him. I thought he was a shoo-in to be on Kingy's team. That's unbelievable he didn't take him.
Sacrilege.
I'm interested. Kingy, 158. Who does Markel Fultz play for?
Yeah, he's playing for the Canberra Gunners.
Nice.
So I think he's
Great
going to have a
pick.
good year. No, look, that was a stuff up on my part because I wanted Clowney. And I thought surely Clowney's going to slip through to me here. But he didn't, obviously. And so
So just to be clear, you then took a guy whose name is not yes, you are, but then you didn't take another guy called Noah by accident. I was like, oh, that was a stuff up. I took the wrong Noah.
No. Oh no, look, it was a stuff up in that I should have had a better queue with some names. And even if I go through the players that are available here that weren't drafted, there's guys I would like. If I look back now, Buddy Hield, I could have taken a shot on him. Kelly Oubre, he's going to play big minutes. Aaron Neesmith was solid. Dosunmu was good. Like there's guys here that I would straight away, I would go to my team, drop Fultz and add someone. So yeah, I did stuff up, but I really wanted Clowney. I think he looked really good to end last year, and I think he might actually start this year for the Nets potentially.
And I think that's a perfect segue into the best of the rest of the dudes who are left on the board. Skiddy, take us through like a few of these guys here. Do any of the names pop out as guys you would be looking at on draft day, or surprised to see where they are? There's one that's glaring for me.
Kelly Oubre Jr., as Kingy said, there is a chance that he could start in Philadelphia. So I would be happy to have maybe a swing on that. If Buddy Hield starts in Golden State, then we could have a crack. But if we go all the way to Andrew Wiggins not being drafted really kind of shocked me. I know his percentages can hurt, but he's going to be the starting shooting guard. Small forward there in Golden State, and I'm kind of surprised that he didn't get a shoe in there. But each their own. I mean, a lot of different bench guys here, and guys that could go okay, but could also be iffy. So,
Guys,
what is there anything you said?
Well, guys who were good for us last year, that the Kingy you touched on earlier, Dosunmu has taken a bit of a hit, especially if Lonzo Ball comes back. I know some guys are still very keen for seeing Harrison Barnes. Barnesy could be the starting small forward, power forward in San Antonio. He always has a role. He's not a sexy pick by any means in his around. But otherwise, guys like Maxi Strus, still valuable, still in Cleveland. Like, I know that he's a homer for you, but he's a great pick. And Keldon Johnson last year, look, not a great year for Keldon, but not a bad year. But I don't know if we've soured on him this much. I did think there was some potential for him to be drafted in some leagues. So, look, there's just more guys than upside at the end of the day who was there for punters, and I think that's where pretty much the chips laid at the end of it.
Yep.
Yeah, look, I'm just going through the names here. I actually, and I probably would have taken him if I don't know, I probably had to dig a little bit, but Christian Brown, I think he'll start for Denver.
Yep.
Probably could have taken a flyer on him. I don't think he's going to be high usage or anything like that, but he can fill that Bruce Brown role from 2 years ago. So do a bit of everything. So I actually probably should have taken him. Anyway.
He was one of the guys that we said at the beginning of the year, Skiddy, I think on the pod I did with Dan Titus, that he's one of my guys that I think has the biggest roadmap to opportunity this year, especially if the Russell Westbrook thing does ding him a little bit for me. So I think if people are thinking like that, Westbrook not being drafted as well was a bit of a surprise. I think he's going to have a role. And I was like, oh, okay. No. A Russ Westbrook free draft. First time in years, I can remember. Yeah,
that's true. But yeah, I'm huge on Kingy saying that Christian Brown, however you want to say it, is a draft.
It looks like Braun to us, doesn't it?
It is.
It does. The razor, the Braun razor.
Yeah, it should be Braun, but I know it's pronounced Brown.
Yeah, I know, but why?
I don't know why.
Then spell it BRONWN. Like, come on, mate.
Call his parents. Change your name legally, Christian. Do better, mate. Don't forget, you can get that big draft kit, as we said earlier, down below. I did throw the link in the chat. I'll put it everywhere again. Right, there we go. Before I forget again, there it is. There's the Patreon link. You can get that big draft board there, which we broke down today against this mock draft. Heaps of work in that one. Kingy, thanks for jumping in. Always love it. He's like, I'm watching the golf. I want to jump on a podcast. I've seen the tweet. Thanks very much, as always, for coming in. Big shout out to our sponsors, Standard Squeeze. Don't forget to use coupon code IFS15. We've been proudly drinking from them here this morning as we enjoy our coffee or your beverages or anything come camping. Heaps of shows. Kingy, plug what's going on with you right now before we get out of here, mate.
Yeah, starting to ramp up. So Balls Deep, the analyst interviews are continuing to come out. I think one just came out actually like half an hour ago. So my interview with Dan Bespris was released. So go and listen to that one. Plenty of Balls Deep shows. Like it'll be 5 a week, but so we're starting to build towards what the schedule will look like during the season. Between Two Dans, my new show on Dan's network will debut, I think, Thursday our time, so Thursday morning our time. So, that should be fun. I've got some pretty cool guests lined up for that show that not even Dan knows about. So, so looking forward to that. But follow me on Twitter there, and we'll I'm sure we'll do plenty more mock drafts. What else is there to do?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Plenty of mock drafts to come up. Guys, thank you. Make sure you like and subscribe to all things Insight, and also to Kingy and also to Skiddy. Love yous, leave yous. We'll catch you later. Have a great Sunday. And before we get out of here, Big Davo. The only reason that Skiddy is on this planet is because of his dad, and it's his dad's birthday today. They're off to the city in Melbourne today to have a crack at. Dave, much love to you, mate. Have a cracking day. Happy birthday to the big man. We'll catch you soon, guys.